All right, everyone. So the British Academy of Film and Television Arts just came out with a list of top 20 iconic video game characters of all time. And this has been making the rounds on the internet, and it's drawing a lot of ire of a lot of video game fans, um, uh, evoking a lot of discussion online. We took a look at the list, and we can kind of see why. And we're going to throw it up on the screen right now, just so you could take a look at their top 20 iconic video game characters. And admittedly, they have um, a lot of the iconic characters. There's some head scratchers on there that they included, and certainly some head scratchers that they left off. And the third category of head scratching, I think, is the some of the orders they put some of these characters in. So take a look. We're gonna kind of just talk about them here at Brothers and Boss Battles. We thought this would be a worthy of discussion in this video podcast. Just to give the listeners some of our thoughts of the BAFTA list, and then give our top 20 as well. So I think to most video game fans, when you're talking about iconic video game characters, having Super Mario not at number one is going to elicit a pretty strong negative response, I would think. Um, not to hint at our list, but uh,
I mean,
that yeah.
naturally, that's the first thing that jumped out at me. It was interesting, that Mario was a number one. I was a little surprised that who was number one.
Yeah, they have Lara Croft number one, and look, she certainly deserves to be on this list, and probably deserves to be in the top, 10 of this list. But it just, I think, to a lot of people, does not make sense to put her over Mario. I mean, Mario is known by people far and wide, all around the world. Um, People that have never played a video game in their life know Mario. Uh, I think if you're going to challenge Mario for the number one spot of most iconic game characters, maybe you have a Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man, or maybe you have a Donkey Kong, but maybe a Pikachu, but I really can't see beyond that.
I feel like they were just like people sitting around in a room being like, "Dare we not put Mario first?"
Yeah,
You know, and
that'll
then
show them.
they were trying to rationalize like how they could, you know,
And,
justify not including him first.
and for more context on the list, they did say that they polled over 4,000 players from around the world for this list, which makes it even more surprising, actually, because I don't know. I feel if you really, got people who are knowledgeable about these topics, they wouldn't be choosing some of the stuff that's on here.
Yeah, and I mean, after that sort of glaring number one, number two thing, uh, some of the other characters on here, I don't see how they make it to top 20. Agent 47 from the Hitman games being number three on this list is just, I mean,
That's mind-boggling.
That was
I
the
mean,
second thing that jumped out on me.
yeah, he's sort of
yeah,
a nameless character, obviously, and it just,
yeah. I don't feel like those games are even that popular, really,
yeah.
which makes it even more surprising that it's so high. And he's
And
and even just like his appearance is very generic, bald guy
yeah,
in a suit. Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think they did get some things right as far as, Pac-Man, Sonic, Link, Master Chief, all in the top 10. I mean, that all kind of makes sense. Kratos, but I don't know, Sackboy. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but
Yeah.
certainly doesn't make it top 20 list
Honestly,
of me.
I could see him maybe in the top 20, possibly. Certainly not number five though.
yeah, yeah. I mean, those games were pretty. The Little Big Planet games were pretty revolutionary for the time. I think they did something different, so that may have you know contributed to the iconic status of this character. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not buying it just based on that. And yeah, to include two characters from Baldur's Gate 3 was pretty uh
Bold.
pretty bold too. Yeah, I mean that game just came out last year. And to its credit, it did win a bunch of awards. It won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Um,
I almost feel there may be a recency bias
yeah,
in the polling.
definitely.
I mean, I didn't play Baldur's Gate 3, but I do consider myself, a gamer. Just play a bunch, have played a bunch. I mean, I've never heard of those characters. So I don't know. I feel like if you haven't played the game, you probably haven't heard of those characters, and I think that kind of takes away from their naming them iconic or putting them in an iconic category.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard to define strictly what iconic means and doesn't mean, but one of the criteria that we were talking about is potentially do they even transcend the gaming world? That's kind of the elite status
Yeah,
of an iconic character. But if even within the gaming community like us, we're still, you know, not really familiar with
yeah.
the characters, that kind of
I
speaks.
don't think anyone's going to be talking about Shadowheart and Asterion in 5 years, or
Yeah.
even in less than 5 years. So yeah, I don't know about that one. Also, I
um,
wanted to call out Arthur Moore being on here. Um,
yeah, he's not even the
I
most
mean,
popular Red Dead character.
yeah, I would say John Marston from the first Red Dead Redemption is way more iconic, just based on his story. I mean, I did like Arthur a lot as character, but I mean, there's no reason for him to be on this list.
Yeah, and I just feel like they got it right by putting Pikachu, but I don't know. I think having Pikachu at number 12, for quite possibly, well, the best-selling video game franchise of
Right.
all time, and all
That's
the
insulting.
toys and shows and everything. I mean,
He's in the Thanksgiving parade in
yeah,
here in the
right,
United States every year.
yeah. So,
Uh,
I think it's hard to justify putting him as low as 12.
yeah, I that one's weird. That one's weird when you have Agent 47 as number three.
yeah, for sure.
Um, some of the other ones like
Yeah, the next one's Steve, Solid Snake,
Crash,
Crash,
yeah,
even Cloud. I could see them in a top 20.
yeah. I mean, Kazuma for the Yakuza games. I don't know that those are necessarily popular enough. I mean, they're very popular games, but I don't know that that's necessarily an iconic character, at least a top 20. And then for
Yeah, I
me,
have to agree with that.
yeah, and for me personally, if you're gonna go with the Last of Us character, I mean, I think Joel's more iconic than Ellie.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I mean, Joel. Well,
No spoilers.
I don't want to give any spoilers, but I mean, Ellie was definitely the main character for part two, so
Yeah,
so maybe that
I think
contributes
part
more.
one is a more liked game,
Yeah, for sure.
and
I'm surprised they didn't put Abby on this list instead.
yeah, the way they were going. I mean,
And Nathan Drake at 20, I wasn't surprised to see him on the list.
yeah, we were.
I never played Uncharted, but I'm familiar with Nathan Drake.
Yeah, I mean, I love Uncharted, and I love Nathan Drake. I don't really think he should be on this list over notable um, characters missing from this list. And
Yeah,
we could talk about those briefly. I mean, it'll probably give away a little bit of our list, but there's some that really just don't make sense that aren't on a top 20 list at all of iconic video game characters. I mean,
Well, why don't we get into our list?
all right, yeah, we could do that. So we'll run it down, starting from number 20 and then going all the way to number one. So for number 20, we chose Mega Man collectively, and again, this list is the Brothers and Boss Battles consensus list. We agreed on a lot, not necessarily everything, but our individual lists would probably look similar, but not exactly the same as this one. But again, the consensus list, and with that, we picked Mega Man for number 20, and it's games we've all played. You know, Little Blue Guy is pretty popular, especially in amongst gamers. He's been around forever since the NES days, and they continue to put out these games for in collections for every system, pretty much.
yeah.
So
Multiple spin-offs like the X series and Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Legends. Uh,
had a
they,
show,
they yeah,
had
they
a
even had the
cartoon.
cartoon back in the day, which
Yeah.
was awesome.
Hmm.
The action figures.
Action figures. Yep.
There's even a band that does actually two bands come to mind. One's called Bit Brigade. So they just do like instrumental covers of like all the Mega Man songs, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a
And
great
there's another
soundtrack.
band, yeah, there's another band called the Megas that they do like arrangements of the songs from the games, but they put like lyrics to it and like add melodies. So
That's cool.
yeah, they definitely have. I mean, Mega Man definitely has some iconic status there.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if do you guys want to talk about maybe a few characters that Mega Man beat out?
Yeah, that makes sense. I know one guy we were talking about a lot was Doom guy from Doom, and so he just didn't crack our top 20.
Yeah, it was tough because Doom's such an iconic game, and you do see Doom Guy's face in the corner pretty much constantly. But it's a first-person game. I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
the fact that he was referred to as Doom Guy and didn't actually have a given name, I think kind of takes a little bit off
Yeah.
of his status.
Yeah, and
Uh,
who else were we kind of
well, there was
talking?
there was Chun-Li. We were talking about some of the it seems like the BAFTA list completely left off fighting
Mm.
game characters that are very iconic that we'll get to in our list. But one that didn't make our top 20 was Chun-Li from Street Fighter. We might see a Street Fighter character on here, and Chun-Li is probably the second most popular character. Um, so she just
Yeah.
missed the list.
Yeah, I'd say Cloud Strife also from Final Fantasy is another one that was in high contention.
Yeah. And Simon Belmont from the Castlevania series also didn't make it, but probably would have been in the, within the next five if this was a top 25 list. All right, so number 19, and we'll put up a screen that shows our list as we go at different periods. But you know, Simon Belmont didn't make the list. Uh, his series and this number 19 character popularized the Metroidvania category, and Samus Aran from Metroid is our number 19. These when you spawn essentially a video game category, we think it's worthy of a listing of
Yeah, I
iconic
wasn't so
characters.
convinced on Samus at first, but then you both kind of made the point of that, the whole kind of genre of the video game. So
Yeah,
like,
those Metroid games became like a genre-defining
Yeah.
game, and Samus has always been the lead character in those games.
Yeah, whereas in Castlevania, we've kind of gone from Simon Belmont to Richter Belmont to Alucard. So, um, yeah, that's sort of the difference between those two. All right, number 18. This was not on the BAFTA list. Somewhat of a dark horse pick, I guess, but his image was on a lot of those early PlayStation demos and
yeah, promo
artwork
material.
and
Yeah,
promos, and that is the iconic villain from the Twisted Metal series, Sweet Tooth. Um, the crazy looking clown driving the ice cream truck, blowing stuff up. You know, it, it's just a character that you look at and you think, oh, video games. That's PlayStation, and from great
Yeah,
games.
yeah. I feel like Twisted Metal hasn't been around like it hasn't been popular for a while, but still, uh, yeah, Sweet Tooth was definitely like the face of the franchise, and even like a face of PlayStation. I think he was in that PlayStation All Stars, that fighting game.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah, so
I
I
don't
think he
even
was one
remember.
of the main characters, like one of the main draws for that game. And then also, they just made that TV series based off of Twisted Metal that I
Yeah,
refuse to watch. But
the live action. That's like
It doesn't look that bad.
it
I don't
took the
think I'm
Twisted
gonna
Metal
watch
name,
it.
but it has nothing to do with like the
No,
yeah,
I
premise of
don't think
Twisted
that's
Metal.
true. I
well,
don't
they
think.
just they're driving cars in it. But
But Sweet Tooth is in that, and he's sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
like a character that persisted from the game to the show,
Yeah.
and he looks like Sweet Tooth.
yeah, yeah. Because I don't know that they have that many actual characters from the game in that show, but they
I
had to get him in because he's like the
Yeah,
iconic one.
Right. Right.
I think
Okay.
I think Anthony Mackie might play Spectre or one of
I
the
think it was I think it was Roadkill.
Roadkill. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, all right. So coming in at number 17, we have an iconic character from probably the most iconic series of video games ever, and that's the Super Mario Brothers series. Um, this character is not necessarily the main character, but it shows the transcendency of this game because he's one of three characters we have in our top 20 list, and that is Mario's brother Luigi. Um,
Yeah, it's
he's
hard to argue with Luigi. Um,
yeah, he's popular by his closeness to Mario. I mean, they
mhm.
essentially look the same with the hat with the letter and the color, you know, but
And they're
Luigi's
brothers, and it's Super Mario Brothers.
right.
So
And Luigi's always kind of taken the back seat, but they've kind of worked on making that different in more recent games and
yeah.
iteration. Luigi's Mansion and just
They definitely like gave him his own identity through the years,
yeah, and
which
he
he didn't
sort of
have in those original games.
right. He's sort of become the scaredy cat that does come through though when it's necessary. So he's got a sort of an iconic personality and it's an iconic character. Number 16, we have Kratos from the God of War series. Uh, Tom, you've played a few of the God of Wars, probably more so than the rest of us. Why don't you talk about Kratos a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, the original God of War series that focused on the Greek myths, that was it was just a huge game or a huge series for the PlayStation era, back with I guess the first game was on PS2, right? Yeah. And all the way through until PS3, and then this new kind of rebooted series with the Norse mythology um, I mean, it's been probably the most popular game for PlayStation, like 4 and 5. Um, yeah, and it's really been like the moneymaker, like huge budgets on these games. Um,
And it's a PlayStation exclusive, right? So
right. Yeah. And just Kratos as a character goes through these in the original games, the Greek games, he was like just, hell bent on revenge. Like he wanted to kill all the Greek gods in Olympus and all that. And then, in these newer games, he's kind of taken more of a, redemption kind of story where he's just trying to live out his life and not have to revert to his old ways. So it's a
yeah,
cool kind of character development there.
definitely.
Um, but
And
yeah,
definitely, he's
yeah,
sort of like a face
he's
of PlayStation now too.
exactly, yeah.
And you see on PS
Definitely
Plus,
noticeable.
it's like
Yeah, and you see like even like his weapons, his chaos blades they call them. Um, it's a iconic weapon, like the blades on the chain.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
All right, number 15, we have Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series. This was sort of a revolutionary game, well, series, and then the original PlayStation, where stealth was really key. It had a very sort of heavy story, somewhat cheesy acting and storyline, but sort of became another heavy hitter of the PlayStation. It really ushered in that era of games. So we think
yeah.
it's
And I think like shout out to the voice actor for Solid Snake, David Hayter. He's I feel like Snake has one of the most iconic voices of a video game character.
and also the that sound when he's like spotted, like that high pitched ring with like the exclamation point kind of a
Yeah,
thing. That's really iconic, and
for sure.
part of that is Snake. Um, and just to shout out, BAFTA had not them had Solid Snake at 14, and we had him at 15, so we're pretty close there at least. So we got some agreement.
Hey, yeah,
Um,
they did something right.
where they did something right. All right, number 14, the second of three Super Mario Brothers characters. We have Princess Peach. She was not on the BAFTA list, and she really, again, one of the most iconic characters in games. Definitely transcends even gamers' views and opinions of iconic characters. A lot of people know who Princess Peach is. She's just got her own game out on the Nintendo Switch. So
Yeah, she's been there since the beginning.
yeah,
Even the original Donkey Kong.
yeah, even Donkey
Yeah,
Kong, it's
exactly.
true. So she definitely deserves to be on this list. Kind of
Yeah, it's similar to Luigi. They've given her more personality throughout the years. Like she's not just this
damsel in distress.
damsel in distress. Yeah, like she
Yeah,
has her own move sets in the
yeah,
games,
hmm
abilities. So
yeah, definitely pretty cool. All right, next is 13, and we're gonna give some love to those fighting characters in the next few, and the first is Ryu from the Street Fighter series. Definitely one of
there he
the
is, front and center on the shirt.
you know
Wait, is Bullrog going to be on the list?
no, no. um,
So I
Ryu is sort of the face of Street Fighter, and Street
yeah,
Fighter to me is one of either the, one of the top two fighting games of all time. So
yeah, I had asked you guys, and I was like, maybe this is a stupid question, but is Chun Li more iconic than Ryu? Clearly we decided against that, but
yeah,
I don't know. I still wonder if you're talking non gamers.
I
Do
still think Ryu is more
you still think so?
popular.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean he's got the Hadouken.
Eh,
Yeah, yeah, he's
He's
sort of the. I even think like in Wreck It Ralph, there was like a scene where like right, I think it was Ryu and Ken were fighting, and then like they all go to lunch and they stop like fighting. Just I don't know. I just think when you look at like other media like that, including video game characters, even though that was like a video game based game movie, I think that goes a long way to you know showing what should be on lists like this. All right,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna move on to next. We do have another fighting game character at number 11, but first we have number 12, and sandwiched in between those two fighters is Crash Bandicoot, yet another PlayStation iconic character, uh, no longer exclusive to PlayStation, but Crash was meant to be the next, Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog once PlayStation came out. He never quite got to that level, but still a character that it transcends video games in a sense. And I think there are a number of people that don't play games that when they see Crash Bandicoot, they know, what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
he even had a parody in a Simpsons episode. If you remember, was it Dash Dingo?
I think Dash Dingo, yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, he had some pretty funny, iconic commercials,
Hmm.
basically
Oh yeah, they
trolling.
promoted.
What was he trolling? Sega or Nintendo? I guess right when PlayStation first came out.
It must
Maybe
have been.
that's
Didn't he
yeah,
have like
some sort.
there was that one like commercial with him with a boombox like outside like
Yeah.
I don't know Nintendo headquarters or something. But
Yeah. No, they promote. They used him to promote
yeah,
the heck
and
out of
the
PlayStation.
games are great, so they're a lot of fun. All
Yeah,
right,
and they have one of the most iconic loading screens in the the Crash Bandicoot game. I think it was the fourth one for PS2. Uh, it was just iconic in that it was like the longest loading screen ever.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what I thought you were getting at.
Yeah. Anyway,
All
next.
right. Next we have our other fighter, as you mentioned, and when you're talking iconic fighting games, you have Street Fighter, and then you have this other game from which this character comes from, but that's Mortal Kombat. We had a lot of argument about this, but we did pick the Mortal Kombat character over Ryu, and that Mortal Kombat character is Sub-Zero. Got the nod over Scorpion. Scorpion does have the iconic "Get over here," but Sub-Zero just seemed like the face of that franchise. The blue ninja mask, and then being reimagined as different looks throughout the series, but it's kind of always been there. Um, and we decided that he really should be the
Yeah. The
torchbearer
representative.
for Mortal Kombat.
The argument I think brought to the table was that I feel like when you say scorpion, that could mean a few different things, including the actual animal.
Yeah,
Whereas I feel like when you hear Sub Zero, you think Mortal Kombat.
yeah, yeah. Scorpion. It's not the insect. It's not the Spider-Man villain. It's you don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah, you don't know exactly,
but Sub-Zero. All
and
right, so
that's kind of what made us bump Scorpion completely off the list. I think.
yeah. All right, so I mentioned we had three characters from Super Mario, but there's actually a fourth. There's three heroes from Super Mario, but coming in at number 10 is the iconic villain Bowser from the Super Mario series. Again, another character that I think gamers and non-gamers alike know at this point in Bowser's lifespan. All right,
Yeah, I mean, he's the main villain in basically all the games of the most iconic franchise. So
yeah. I
hard to
think you can
argue.
even play him on your side in the Super Mario RPG, if I remember correctly. All right, coming in at number 9, another Nintendo character, probably the next most iconic game after the
Franchise.
Super Mario series, and that's Link from the Legend of Zelda games. Um,
Yeah, I mean Link's another one that's been around forever. And all these different Zelda games, there's like a new Link
yeah,
character, but they always have the same, green outfit and
bow and
similar
arrow,
move set
sword.
and with the sword and Master Sword and all that.
Yeah, and BAFTA put him at number 7, so we're kind of close there. All right, coming in at number 8, we have Steve from the Minecraft series. Uh, those Minecraft-looking characters are pretty iconic. They look like video games, so when you see a plush toy of them or a poster, people can generally determine that that's a video game character. And Steve is the face of Minecraft, and Minecraft is huge.
Yeah, I wanted to call out the or shout out the punk band Teenage Bottle Rocket. They have the song about Steve from
Yeah,
Minecraft. It's a good song.
awesome, awesome song.
Yeah,
Um, all right, coming in at number 7, we have Lara Croft. Um, we think she's great. We think her games are great, especially the rebooted series. had to disagree with BAFTA putting them number one, but she definitely deserves to be in the top 10. And here she is on our list at number 7. Another iconic PlayStation character, especially in the early days, and then continuing to today with the new series. So Lara Croft at number 7. Um, Coming in at number 6, we have an iconic face on the Xbox series, and that is Master Chief. Uh, Master Chief has been used to promote Xbox, you know, since the existence of Master Chief, and is
Yeah.
definitely.
I think Master Chief is like what kept Xbox afloat and like really made it into a successful console.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a huge Halo fan, but lots of other people disagree with me, and that certainly helped them out. All right, we're entering the top 5 now. We're gonna kind of just push through these. You could probably guess a lot of them, but talking about sort of the face of a franchise, coming at number 5, we have Sonic the Hedgehog from the Sega games, and another character that has spawned TV shows and movies and a whole slew of games and different types of games. Not really much more to say.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I mean, I think anybody could reasonably justify a top 5 spot for Sonic.
And BAFTA did too. They put him in number 4. All right. Coming in at our number 4 is something that is a character that I can't believe was left off of the BAFTA list. Um, Sort of almost a founding father of these type of of video games. We have at number 4 Donkey Kong from really everywhere, but starting off with the Donkey Kong series, and then we had
Yeah.
Donkey Kong had his own games, and then was in the movie, and then uh,
I mean, when that game launched in the arcades, it was like huge. It was
yeah,
big news
it was
for people.
revolutionary.
Yeah, it's really unfathomable how that was not on their list.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, they picked non people for their list. Like they had Pikachu, they had Crash Bandicoot, so it wasn't like they were just keeping it to humans. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's very surprising. All right, we have the top 3. Number 3 from probably the most successful franchise of all time. We have Pikachu from Pokemon. Uh, Again, there's Tom's shirt, and as Tom, as we mentioned in discussing this, Pikachu has a float in the Thanksgiving Day parade in New York City, and you know, is
Yeah.
the most popular character in all of the Pokemon games, which are hugely popular, and then had the television show series and movies. So
Yeah, just so many action figures, the cards, like
the
I mean,
card,
Pokemon is just
it's huge
huge.
on
Yeah,
so
it's a
many
best selling
levels.
it's a best selling franchise, video game franchise, and he is by far not unquestioned face of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really think you can make an argument for putting him number one on our list.
I mean, he's another character that even people that don't play video games know. So, deserves to be in these top spots. All right, at number 2, we have Ms. Pac-Man. And, the Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man debate, I mean, that's, a close one, but we felt that Ms. Pac-Man arcade cabinet is probably the most iconic cabinet, arcade cabinet of all time. It's sought after even today. It goes for a lot of money. It's it's kind of the one everyone wants. So you know, the, I don't want to say Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man are interchangeable, but we gave Ms. Pac-Man a little bit of the nod, and again, another sort of revolutionary early arcade game that paved the way for so many others. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I also feel if you see maybe a cartoony or 2D kind of sketch of Pac-Man, it's pretty much identify it, or maybe you think it's like a wheel of cheese or something. But when you throw the bow on it,
hmm
it's like you know that's Miss Pac-Man.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know
I agree. Yeah. All right, drum roll, please. If you couldn't
the
guess,
big mystery.
if you couldn't guess what our number 1 is, it is Mario from the Super Mario Brothers series.
Well
The
deserved.
well deserved, literally the pioneer character of video games, the one that led to everything else,
Still going strong.
and still going strong, still making good games. Mario at number 1. All right, that'll be it. Let us know your thoughts. Comment on this. Drop us a line. We're on X and Instagram at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. Check out our website or leave a message right on YouTube. All right, thanks for listening. We hope you like the list, and See you during our regular episodes. Pete, Tom, and Ann of Brothers and Boss Battles signing off. Good night.